Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Snowpiercer, a movie from 2013 that was directed by Bong Joon-ho. Most interestingly, this is actually a co-production between South Korea and the Czech Republic. Now, I was lucky enough to see this movie in the cinema way back when it got its original American release, but I have not seen it since that time. So the question is, does it hold up? Well, let's find out. Set in the year 2031, 17 years after an attempt to stop climate change via strato-spheric aero-sol injection catastrophically backfired and created a new ice age and caused ecocide, humanity have taken to a self-sustaining circum-navigational train, the Snowpiercer, run by reclusive transportation magnate Wilford. Now, the passengers on the train are segregated, with the elite in the extravagant front cars, and the poor crammed into the squalid tail compartments overseen by armed guards. Urged by his mentor, Gilliam, Curtis Everett and his second-in-command, Edgar, lead the tail passengers in a revolt. So Snowpiercer is exactly how I remembered it, pretty much, both in terms of strengths and flaws. Now, if we look at Bong Joon-ho's career, Snowpiercer marked the first time where I thought his messaging was too heavy-handed and on the nose. Now, obviously, Okja was the low point in that regard, but we do see this flaw in Snowpiercer to a degree. And the best example of this is when Tilda Swinton's character gives her social class speech before cutting a dude's arm off. This happens about 20 minutes into the film. Not only does she explain in words what is already obvious by the film's premise alone, and which every character already knows in the film anyways, but she also overacts while she does it. She even sticks out her buck teeth. She's like, I belong to the front, and you belong to the tail. Like, I don't know if she was doing like a rat impression or I don't know, but she's a cartoon character in the film. And even though I'm all for black humor and tonal shifts, that scene is like high school drama level writing and performances that are frankly ridiculous. I remember rolling my eyes during that scene in the theater, and I did it again while rewatching it. So this heavy-handed messaging does crop up at times in the film, in some other scenes as well. Probably the number one thing I dislike about Snowpiercer. And I know some people complain about the plot holes in the film, but I mean, with a premise this bizarre, I guess I care less about things like, well, how does this train consistently run forever? And like, who services the train tracks that go around the world, even though everybody's on the train? Like, stuff like that I can accept more than really annoying, heavy-handed messaging. Now, in the film's defense, there are a few big doses of black comedy that do work, in my opinion. I enjoy the Happy New Year moment and the children's song time scenes, especially. Probably because those were combined with action instead of slowing the film down to kind of give its messaging, right? And these effective moments of black humor help to add some spice and energy to the film. So I do think the black humor does work maybe a majority of the time. Now, script-wise, there's a pretty interesting dynamic with objects and things that have gone extinct in the years since the end of the world within the film. And these are basic things that we find everywhere in real life, like cigarettes, bullets, etc. It gives some context and emphasis on the living situation that's depicted within the film, so I kind of like that. Production design is pretty cool. Each train car is different from the others. There's a different purpose for each train car, different interior design for each, and a different threat within each. And I think this is very important to keep things visually engaging, because almost the entire film takes place within this train. In terms of performances, Song Kang-ho and Go Ah-sung are fun in supporting roles, but Chris Evans is tasked with carrying the film, and I think he does a good job here. I did like his performance in this. Now, in terms of the action and thrills, things pick up significantly about the 30-minute mark when the rebellion begins. And, our protagonists, like, go from train car to train car to try to make their way to the front engine. And there are some interesting little strategies employed by Evans' character immediately prior to this rebellion. Like, for example, he makes very specific observations regarding the guards' guns before they decide to strike. Quite logical. I liked it. And then, when Song and Go show up, which is just a few minutes after that, we're kind of off and running. And the film becomes very entertaining, especially during that core middle section rebellion, which lasts quite a long time. That's when the film's at its best, in my opinion. Now, the action is, I guess, partially choreographed, which is why I classify this more as like a thriller instead of an action flick. It's pretty scrappy and violent for the most part, but there are some pretty interesting confrontations. The tunnel scene is definitely a highlight. I really like that scene. I also like the presence of a few like security officers, like high-level security officers who provide like mini boss battles at certain points in the film, which is always nice. And there are also a few unexpected moments that I enjoyed. So, despite its heavy-handedness, Snowpiercer is an entertaining film. And I think it actually holds up rather well. Like I said, this film is exactly like I remember it being all those years ago. So I think it holds up even a decade after its original release. I recommend this. Currently available, streaming on Tubi, and you could also purchase it on Blu-ray. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.